Good. So we are all in the clear. I'd like us to start. Now, I want you to open the data set called master's data. You've downloaded 3. So open the first one. It's called master's data. Once you open master's data, you'll realize that that data set has several worksheets. List of you know what our worksheet is and what our workbook is. At the bottom of that worksheet, you're seeing several worksheets. We have employee, have ref, data, questions, and charts. So we are going to start with the worksheet called employee. So click on the worksheet called employee. Now, when you look at that, the data on that worksheet, this is actually was extracted from someone's work, actual work. So a lady, she's a sales supervisor for a certain cosmetics firm here in Nairobi. So her work is to supervise salespeople. You can see their names there. And they are working in several regions, so not only in Nairobi. So each salesperson, wherever they are working, they have a target, of course. You know, each person has a target. And at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, this sales supervisor needs to know certain information about the people she is in charge of, including what were the sales that each person made, the amount of bonus that each person is receiving based on their sales, the net pay that this person will receive at the end of their paid period. Then we have paid period. Now, paid period simply means these people are not paid at the same regular basis. There are those who are paid daily, those who are paid weekly, those who are paid monthly. And that depends on your terms of employment, which is represented by the column called code. So, on the worksheet at the bottom, click on the worksheet called ref, the second worksheet, and you'll see certain information about these employees. So we are seeing a person whose code is FT is full-time, and this person is paid on a monthly basis. While a person whose NE is not employed and they receive no pay, for example, an intern or an attaché or a volunteer. So this sales supervisor needs to know all that kind of information, needs to fill in this worksheet. Every column must be filled in correctly. But at the end of the day, this worksheet must be automated such that the only thing she will be adjusting here is the column called sales. Only that, nothing else. So the moment the sales are recorded, every other information will update itself automatically. So we are going to use several functions to learn how to automate worksheets in Excel. So we are going to start with a column called bonus, column G. And when I click on cell G1, I can be able to tell that bonus is calculated as 5% of sales. I believe ordinarily we all know there are different, like 4 or 5 methods you can calculate a percentage of something. So we are going to use the simplest form of it. So I'll come to cell G2. As we all know, every formula in Excel starts with an equal sign. So I'll key in equal. How do I calculate 5% of something? So I'll just write 5/100. That is 5 over 100. Then times. Times we are going to use an asterisk. Asterisk is available when you press shift number 8. Shift and then 8. A combination of shift 8, you'll get an asterisk. So we are calculating 5% of something. 5% of what? The sales for the first person who's Duncan. But since we don't want to write the number, remember we are working to automate everything. We shall click that cell, or we shall reference the cell that contains the 320. So after the asterisk, I'll simply go and click on cell E2. So I'm finding 5% of E2. Whatever is in E2, I don't care what is there. The next time, maybe this person will have a sales of 800. So I'll not write 800. I'm clicking on the cell so that anytime the value in cell E2 will change, the column G will not have any trouble trying to figure out, is it 320 or 800? No, it will be easily referenced. So that's it. We execute by pressing enter, and you'll get your first value. So Duncan is getting a bonus of 16. I believe we all have that. So let's autofill. We remember how to autofill. You click on the item that you want to use as the autofill pattern. So I'll click on my cell G2, take my cursor onto the bottom right of that window, of that cell. You see a small box. I click on that box and then drag going down up to number 25, and I can be able to see the bonus for each of the individuals cited there. Any question? Good. Let's move to column H. When I click on cell H1, I'm seeing net pay. And net pay, when I look at my formula bar, is written as, or is calculated as bonus plus 10% of sales. So I want you to calculate that in your cell H2. In cell H2 for Duncan, I want you to calculate the net pay for Duncan. You already know how to calculate 10% of something by using the example of 5% of something. So you'll simply follow the same procedure, but before you execute, make sure you add the bonus. Now, when adding the bonus, don't write 16. You click on the cell reference that contains the 16. So let's attempt that. So what do you have for Duncan? Hello? What do you have for Duncan, for the first person? Can you guys hear me?
Hello?
Yes, Peterson.
Just kindly repeat the formula. I having trouble trying to key it in.
Now, click on cell H1. You will see everything. Just click on cell H1 and read in your formula bar. When you click on cell H1 where it's written net pay, you'll see it's written as bonus plus 10% of sales. Mary, do you have your answer? Mutua, Vincent, and Winfreda. So Winfreda is getting 48, sorry, 48. Okay. Who else? Okay, let's do it together. I don't know why you guys are not responding. Now, we all know how to do, we did 5% of sales, which was equals 5 over 100 times E2. Here you've been told you're supposed to do bonus plus 10% of sales. First of all, how do you calculate 10% of sales? Equals 10 over 100 times E2. That is 10% of sales. But again, we have been told we are supposed to add bonus. Where do we find bonus? Bonus is already there. We have calculated bonus for Duncan. We know bonus for Duncan is 16, which is available in cell G2. So I'll just do plus, and then I click on G2. So the first part of it is 10% of sales. And then I'm adding the bonus that this person obtained. So I will not calculate bonus afresh now because it has already been calculated. It's there. So what do? I simply execute, and I'm getting 48. That is how you're supposed to achieve that. So I will autofill. Any question with those two? Good. Let's move on. Let's go to the column paid period. As I said earlier, each individual is paid at a different frequency, depending on your code, which also represents your status of employment. So we can see Duncan, the first person, their code, his code is FT. So we want to find a person whose code is FT. How frequent do they get paid? However, we do not want to copy paste. No. Remember, we want to automate this worksheet. So that at any point in time, a person who's, for example, on contract C has performed well. The supervisor decides, now let's promote this person on part-time basis. The only thing that this supervisor will do is to come into this column called code, where, let's say for Hillary, number 4. Hillary is on contract, is being promoted to part-time. Whatever the supervisor will do is to simply come to the column called code for Hillary and change the C into PT. Just that every other thing on the worksheet will update itself automatically. That is automating our worksheet. So here we are going to use a function called lookup. But in using lookup, there are two forms of lookup. We have VLOOKUP and we have HLOOKUP. Now, lookup function is a function that helps you link two worksheets such that one worksheet can borrow information from another worksheet without necessarily copy pasting. So in this case, we are going to link this worksheet called employee. We are going to link the worksheet called employee with the worksheet called ref. So that the worksheet called employee will borrow some information from this worksheet called ref. And what information is that? The information is the paid period. Now, VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. VLOOKUP stands for vertical lookup. HLOOKUP stands for horizontal lookup. In VLOOKUP or vertical lookup, Excel will start looking up for things. Just like the name, look up for something. It's like find something. So Excel will look up for something in the columns. While HLOOKUP or horizontal lookup, Excel will look up for things in the rows. That is horizontal, going across. So in this case, we are going to use VLOOKUP. And why? It's because when we look at the worksheet called ref, the titles of our columns, the titles of our data are available in the column. That's why we're going to use VLOOKUP. What if, or what scenarios will you use HLOOKUP? You can use HLOOKUP if, let me just show you situations where you can use HLOOKUP. Now, when you look at my screen, I'm having two sets of tables. I don't know if you can be able to note the difference. The difference is, in the first table on the left, the titles of my data are available in the columns. That is F, G, and H. When I look at the table on my right-hand side, the titles of my data are available in the rows. That is row 11, which has code, row 12 has status, and row 13 has paid period. So in the second table on the right, that is where you use HLOOKUP. But in the table on the left, that's where you use VLOOKUP because the titles are in the columns. I hope we are together. So let's go to our worksheet called employee and understand how do you key in a VLOOKUP function. So go to column I2. Sorry, cell I2. That's where we're going to write the first function. So let's begin our function with equal sign. Then just write VLOOKUP. So the VLOOKUP function will come up. To select a function, we all know, you double click on it. And you will see your function has been put there, including a hint. This hint, as you all know, is available in all functions and formulas in Excel. Its purpose is to enable you to, like if you feel you're lost somewhere, you can refer to the hint. We'll see how. Caution, as we are going to write this function, do not type or click anywhere unnecessary because anything you type or click on will be captured as part of the command and at the end it might not work. So only click when I say or only type when I say. So when you look at your hint, the first thing we are seeing is lookup value. What is lookup value? Just from the name itself, lookup value, it's the value that you want to look up for. What is it that you want to find? If I tell you, for example, go to that building and find me a baby. So whatever is taking you to that building is to what? To find a baby. So the baby is what you're looking for. That is the lookup value. In this case, what are we looking up for? We want to look out for a code called FT. That is what we want to find. FT for Duncan is available in cell C2. So you'll click on cell C2. After you click on cell C2, put a comma. As you can see in the hint, every section of the hint is separated by a comma. If you forget to put the comma, your function might not work at the end. So it's very important. The next item on the hint is table array. Now, table array in definition is the general location. The general location that contains the item you're looking up for. The general location that contains the item you're looking up for. If I tell you go to that building and find me a baby, that building is the general location where this baby is found. In our case scenario here, the item we are looking for, FT, is not available on this worksheet called employee. It's available in the worksheet called ref. So I want you to click on that worksheet just once. Click on the worksheet called ref once. You'll be transferred from employee to ref. But then again, you'll see your hint is somewhere at the top right. And when you look at the formula bar, your function is there. So everything is still intact. Don't panic. Now, the general location where FT is found, we are seeing a table. So we are going to highlight a table. From the word table array, we are going to highlight a table. So in this case, we are going to highlight from cell F7, where the word code is, to cell H11, where the word no pay is. So we are going to ignore the first column, the one that has numbers. Let's just ignore it. Robin, I've shared the dataset in the WhatsApp group. If you can kindly access it from the WhatsApp group, that will be easier for you.
Hello.
Yes.
I am actually using the desktop, so it's kind of hard because it does not allow to download from the site. I'm using a simulator, an Android simulator.
Okay.
Okay, please.
Okay, so I'll do that. Let's just finish. Let me finish this so that I don't confuse as we're going on. But I'm sending you in a short while.
Okay.
Yeah, so that I don't lose the flow. Now, we are here. We want to select a table. I've said we are going to select from the word code all the way to the word no pay. So how do you select? Just take your cursor onto. I've not said you click. I've not said you click. I'm being particular about my instructions. Just take your cursor onto the word code. It will turn into a big clear plus sign. Then press down your left mouse button and do not release. You press your left mouse button down, do not release. Then drag going to the right hand side up to where we have paid period. And then don't release. Again, drag going down all the way to no pay, so that you'll see the motion movers around a certain table. The table is F7, H11. So once you are at the end, you can release your left mouse button now. When you look at your formula bar, you realize Excel has captured the table that you have selected as F7, H11. Now, once you have highlighted that, on your keyboard, just press comma. It will write itself. Just press comma. It will write itself on the formula bar. Then we proceed with our hint. Our hint says the next item is column index number. Now, column index number is the specific column from which column index number is the specific column from which your result is supposed to come from. You're looking, I've told you to go to that building and find me a baby. That building has 18 floors, and each floor has about 16 rooms. You'll not go to every room checking. No. So I'll specify where this baby is found. Yes, in that building, on third floor, room 2. I'm being specific. Yes, there's a bigger location, but within this bigger general location, I'm being specific where. So column index number is the specific column from which your result is coming from. In this example, we are looking for a code called FT. Once we find FT, what do we want to know about FT? We want to know the paid period for FT. That's what we want to know, the paid period for FT. Now, we have highlighted a table from F7, H11. So what you need to do is simply count how many columns are there, and the column that you want your results to come from is column number what? So if I count, the first column, which is code, is number 1. The second column, which is status, is number 2. The third column, which is paid period, is number 3. So in my column index number, I will write 3. 3 why? Because the column that I want my result to come from is column number 3, counting from the left-hand side. 1, 2, 3. So here, I'll simply on my keyboard press 3. And then comma. When you press the last comma, you'll see a small pop-up showing up. True, and you're also seeing false. Now, taking the example of the baby. When I tell you, go to that building and find me a baby. If you go and find a teenager, will you bring that teenager to me? Just because he's not over 18, you are trying to say he's still a baby. No. We all know the definition of a baby. So if I tell you a baby, I want you to bring me what meets definition of a baby. So I'm looking for an exact match, not an approximate match. So here, we are going to double click on exact match. And that's the end of our function. Before we execute, any question? Is there any question before we execute? Good. So execute your function by pressing enter. And you will be returned to the worksheet called employee. And you will see I2, Duncan, is having monthly. Unless anyone is having an error. Who's having an error? Anyone having an error? Any question before we proceed? Now, if you filled in, I'd like you to autofill going down. I'd like you to autofill going down. Let me just put my screen back. Now, when you autofill, you realize something. When you autofill, you will realize something. That you've only been given the first 4 answers, but the rest are NA. Been given the first 4, the rest are NA. Excel is usually affected by certain errors, and this error is in this particular case is called relative differencing. Relative differencing. Now let's go to the worksheet called ref. When you're at the worksheet called ref, you selected a table starting with F7 to H11. So what Excel did was it came to the first line, that is F8. Came to F8 and it found an answer which is monthly. F9, there was weekly. F10, there was daily. F11, there was no pay. So it decided, let me continue. It came to F12, there was nothing. F13, nothing. F14, nothing. That's why it only gave you the first 4 results, because in the first 4 lines, we have information, while the others are blank. So what we need to do is to restrict the movement of Excel within the small table that we highlighted. We highlighted a table called F7H11. So we need to tell Excel, once you start at F8 and you reach at F11, don't proceed. Go back and start again. F8, F11, F12, F11. Once you finish, once you are at F11, go back to F8. Do not proceed to the empty cells. Restricting the movement of Excel within a table array. So let's go back to employee worksheet. Click on the first result, that is Duncan. We have monthly. So click on that monthly. Once you click on that monthly, check on your formula bar. Your formula is present in your formula bar. So we want to restrict movement by introducing dollar signs. By introducing dollar signs. Where exactly? On the table array. So where we have F7H11 in your formula bar, put a dollar sign before F. We are dealing with F7H11. Put a dollar sign before F. Dollar sign is shift 4 before F and after F. So that F, that is F7. The F is sandwiched in between 2 dollar signs. Then go to H11. Put a dollar sign before H and after H, so that that H is sandwiched between 2 dollar signs. Not H11, I'm saying H alone. It's the one that's supposed to be between 2 dollar signs. Once you've done that, press enter. Press enter. Then let's autofill again afresh. Let's autofill afresh using that monthly. So click on monthly and then autofill again. And you realize now all the values have been given for all the cases. Hope we are on the same page, unless anyone is having a challenge. So Robin, I think I've shared with you the data set. Now, this is what I want you to do. I want you to use the same concept of VLOOKUP. Use the same concept of VLOOKUP and fill in information for the column L. Column L is status. Fill in the correct information for column L. Just to give you a hint, the formula will be the same. The only thing that will change in your formula is the what? The column index number, just that. But the formula will be the same. So 2 minutes, attempt that. I believe we are through. So what is the status for Duncan? What is the status for Duncan? Hello? Can you guys hear me? What's the status for Duncan? Okay. Consider saying full time. Anyone else? Are you saying full time? Who else? It has one is saying full time. Okay. The rest, I'm not sure why you're not responding. So let me just take you through. Equals VL, VLOOKUP. The lookup value is cell C2, which is FT. Then comma. So Robin, I hope you're following. The lookup C2 is the lookup value, comma, table array. I will click on ref, and I said you only click once. If you click anywhere unnecessary, that's where you start getting errors. I'll click on ref, and then I will highlight a table, starting with F7 all the way to H11. Then comma, column index number. I want my results to come from the column called status. So if I count, code is column 1, status is column 2. So my result is coming from column number 2. So here I will simply write 2, then comma, then select exact match. So before I execute, let me already correct the relative referencing error by introducing a $sign before F, and after F on F7, a $sign before H, and after H on H11. When I execute, Duncan is full time. Then when I autofill, I'm getting results for everyone. That is how you are supposed to handle that. That is VLOOKUP. Any question? Good. Let's look at column J. Then we move on to something else now. Column J is about comments. And this one, I believe you did it in your first class using the concept of if function. So I want you to give the following comments, 2 comments. If, and I want you to use this criteria I'm going to explain. If the sales is greater than the target, this person will be retained. If not, they'll be laid off. I'll repeat. If the sales is greater than the target, this person will be retained. If not, they will be laid off. For the last time, if the sales is greater than the target, this person will be retained. If not, they will be laid off. You attempt that in 1 minute and tell me, is Duncan being retained or laid off? Now for Robin, just look at your formula. Is it VLOOK or is it VLOOKUP? We are using a formula called VLOOKUP, not VLOOK. I can see the other parts of your formula are fine, but the VLOOKUP part is not fine. You simply write VL and you double click on VLOOKUP. So what's Duncan? Is Duncan being retained or laid off? Hello, is Duncan being laid off or retained? Okay, so Mary is saying R. Let me assume that is retained. Who else? Now, for the others, for those who are not responding, the moment you do not respond, I will not know whether you have understood or you have not understood, and that will not be good because I'll not be able to know where to specifically assist. So when you go silent, when you don't respond, I'll just move on, but know that if you have missed a concept, then there's no way I'll be able to assist you. That's why I'm asking over and over for you to respond, whether you got it or you have not. Okay, so for Mary is retained. Who else?
I think it's retained.
Okay, Peterson is being retained. Who else? Robin is getting retained. Winfreda, Vincent, Mongo. Okay, so let's do it. So the comments, I come to equals if. So the first thing we're having is the logical test. What is it that you're testing? So if the cells is in cell E2, so I'll click on E2, then greater than the target. Target is in which cell? F2. Remember, we said we are not writing anything. We are clicking on a cell to reference it. So if the cells is greater than the target, that's the logical test, comma. Value if true. I said if your cells is greater than the target, you will be retained. But since retain is a string or is a word, we write it in double speech marks. I hope you remember when you are doing A, B, C, and D. Retain in double speech mark, then comma. Value if false. Laid off. So laid off, I write in double speech marks again. So if your cells are greater than your target, you'll be retained. If not, you'll be laid off. When I execute, in my case scenario, I find that Duncan is being retained. Any question so far?
Hello.
Yes, anything you would like to be clarified? Yes, Robin?
Kindly just highlight on the formula. I need to confirm something.
Okay. Well, let me just go through the formula again. I said, now don't mind about the value in my column target, because my target is empty. But yours, I believe it has some values. Mine is empty. So don't focus on my numbers here. Let's understand the formula. My question or my comment was, if the sales is greater than the target, that is, if you surpass your target, in business or in sales, if you surpass your target, you're good to go. But if you do not surpass your target, if you don't meet your target, there's no need of me maintaining you as an employee. So if your sales is greater than your target, you will be retained as an employee. If not, you'll be laid off, go home. So equals, if I select my if function, the first thing in our hint is logical test. So if what? If cells is in E2, greater than sign on your keyboard. Target, I click on F2, comma, if cells is greater than the target. Value if true. What do you want to get? This person will be retained. So I write retained in double speech marks, comma. If not, that is value if false. If the sales is not greater than the target, this person will be laid off. So I write laid off in double speech marks. Then I execute. So in Frida, I hope you've gotten that again, as well as Robin.
Yes, from our data, Duncan will have to be laid off. That's why there was an error.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So in essence, you're contradicting what the others have said on retain.
Yes, I'm contradicting that.
Okay. I don't know what Peterson had to say about that. Anyway, the end goal is as long as you understand the structure of the formula.
I think my value on the target was lower.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No problem. Mary, you're also surprised.
Yes, I am.
Why? What was your value on target? Mary, what value did you have for Duncan's target?
325.
Okay. That means you're supposed to have laid off because the sales is not greater than the target.
No, I mean the sales.
But I believe we've all understood at least the structure of that function, just like we are refreshing our minds from whatever you did in last class. Any other question? I want us to move to introduce pivot tables and dashboards. Unless anyone has a question or comment.
And I wanted to ask, does Excel keep changing the values of in a data set, or is there a function to actually stop the values from changing?
Okay. Now, values in Excel will only change if at all you use a function called randomization, the rand and the rand between. That's when your values will keep on changing. Okay. But either way, values do not change. However, if you have used that function called randomization, the rand between, the best way to stop that randomization is to copy your data, paste it on a new worksheet, but you do not paste with the formulas. You only paste values.
Okay.
I don't know if we know how to paste values or pasting using what you call, it's called paste special.
Yeah, we did
For example,
last class.
Yes. That's the tool you use to copy data so that it does not change from time to time.
Okay.
Any other question? So let's move on and introduce pivot tables and dashboards. So I want you to, for those who are working with the dataset called masters data, on your worksheets, you're seeing a worksheet called data, you're seeing a worksheet called questions. For those who have downloaded the other previous dataset, you will open a dataset called visualizations. I believe it's called visualizations. But for those who are using this data set we have open, it's called master's data. On your worksheets at the bottom, you'll click on the worksheet called data and the worksheet called questions. So just confirm you have the same data as on my site. Good. So I believe we are on the same page. Now, what are pivot tables? First of all, let's understand the data that we have. You have been given this data. It's what I consider as big data in the sense that it's quite huge. It has a couple of columns as well as a good number of entries, about 578 entries. That's can be termed as big data. Then when you look at the questions, you have been told to find answers to these questions using this data. How do you approach that? So pivot tables, or the concept of pivot table. A pivot table is simply a row by column table, or sometimes it's called contingency table. A row by column table that compresses big data into a small understandable format. Compresses big data into a small understandable format. So we are going to provide answers to each of these questions. But besides providing answers, we are also going to create visualizations, which will form our dashboard. What's a dashboard? Let me just show you an example of a dashboard. This is a dashboard. Whatever you're seeing on your screen, it's an example of a dashboard. We have several charts and we have slicers. If at all I want to view information about only one item, for example, region, I only want to view information about Africa. When I click on the slicer of Africa, all the charts, even if I have 100 charts, all of them will synchronize in a matter of seconds to show me information about Africa only. That's a sample of a dashboard. But how do you arrive at such a dashboard? First of all, you must understand the concept of pivot tables. First of all, I want you to create a new worksheet. I want you to create a new worksheet. We all know how to create new worksheets. Here at the bottom, you have a plus sign. So just click on that plus sign. A new worksheet, sheet 1, will be prepared for you. I want you to change the name of that sheet 1. What you're seeing is written sheet 1. Just double click where it's written sheet 1. And then delete whatever is there, and then write dashboard. So I'd say create a new worksheet by pressing on the plus button. Sheet 1 will be prepared for you there. Click on the word sheet 1, delete it, and write dashboard. That's where we shall create our dashboard. Let's go to our data, the worksheet called data. Before you create any pivot table, you must understand what are the groups or information in every column. We have several columns: customer, product, salesperson, all the way to channel partners. But how many customers are there? Or how many groups of customers are there? How many regions are there? We don't know. So the first thing is for you to understand your data structure first. So we want to convert this table, this data into a table. That table will enable us to know what is available in every column. So how do you convert a data set into a table? First of all, we want to highlight all. And for you to highlight all, on your keyboard, just press Control A. Control A is select all. Control A, your entire data set will be selected. Then on the menu bar, click on Insert. Insert. Then in the first section that has tables, click on the option called Table, the third option. Insert, then click on Table. A window will open up, a small one. Make sure the option written as My table has headers. Make sure that that option has been checked. Make sure that checkbox has been checked. Then click OK. Once you click OK, you realize on your columns, that is the customer product sales, they have a certain small box. It's called a filter box. Filter box. It's a small box with an arrow in it. So let's start with customer. Click on that small box. And you'll be able to see how many customers or groups of customers are there. If I click on products, the filter for products, if I click on the filter for products, you see how many products are there. Mary, are you guys seeing my screen? I believe it's up. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe my screen is up. So I want you to check in every column what information is available there by just clicking on the filter button. Click the filter button, check in 1 minute, check what information is available in the filter button. So that is supposed to help you understand your columns better. That's how to create or to convert data into a table. But then again, you cannot create pivot tables when your data is in a table form. So we need to take it back to arrange in the original way it was in. So what do? On the menu bar, just where you are, I hope you've not clicked anywhere else that I did not state. On the menu bar where you are, when you look at the sections, the first section is properties, and the second section is tools. So under tools, you will see an option called convert to range. Convert to range. You can just confirm from a screen. Convert to range. When I click on convert to range, I'll get a notification for me to confirm. So just click yes. And your data set is now converted back to range or to its original form. Let's now look at pivot tables. We said pivot table is a contingency table that helps you compress big data into a small, understandable format. So we want to use this data, answer these questions, and starting with question 1, we want to find the sales per product. We want to know how much did each product sell? What are the total sales for each product? So go to your worksheet called data. go to your worksheet called data. Select all by pressing Ctrl A. Then go to insert. Then click on pivot table. Click on pivot table. Insert. Click on pivot table. A window will appear. So in this window, just click OK. Click OK. You'll be taken to a clean worksheet. On the left-hand side, you're seeing your pivot table has been placed there. On the right-hand side, you're seeing, number one, pivot table fields at the top, which is actually the names of your columns. The names of your columns. The number two at the bottom, you're seeing 4 boxes: filters, columns, rows, and values. Now, for you to populate your pivot table, which is empty on the left-hand side, you need to place several of these pivot table fields in one of these 4 boxes here. But how do you determine which item will go into which box? How do you determine which item will go into which box? So this is the criteria. Number one, if you have an item which is in a field, let me call them field. If you have a field or column which is in continuous form, we all know continuous form, those that are in exact numbers running down. A field that is in continuous form, you'll place it in the box called values. If you have a field that is in categories, that field will be placed in the box called rows or columns. If you have a field that has many categories, but you are only interested in one of the categories, you'll place that field in the box called filters. So I'll repeat: values, fields that are in continuous form; rows and columns, fields that are in categories or groups; filters, fields that have many groups, but you're only interested in one group. I hope that's clear. So let's try and generate one pivot table: sales per product. Sales per product. So pick product. We want to drag and drop. How do you drag and drop? Take your cursor onto the field called products. Don't click yet. When you take your cursor onto that field, it will turn into a bidirectional arrow, an arrow that's pointing in the 4 directions. Then hold your left mouse button down and then drag that item and drop it in the box called rows. Drop it in the box called rows. And immediately you'll see your pivot table has started to populate on the left-hand side. You have 4 products there. Then again, because you want to know sales per product, go and pick sales USD. Drag it and drop it where we have values. And your pivot table is now formed up. You can be able to tell the sales for every product, as well as tell the total sales for all the products. You can also be able to tell that tonic is the most selling, while ice cubes is the least selling product. That is a pivot table.
Hello.
Yes, Robin.
Very sorry, sir. I just wanted to get something down about what you said about rows and columns. It seems that I'm having a problem with it.
I said, if you have a field, when I talk about field, I mean the titles of your columns. If you have a field that is in continuous form, you place it in the box called values. If you have a field that has groups or categories, you place them either in the box called columns or in the box called rows. If you have a field that has many groups and you're interested in only one group, you place that field in the box called filters. So here I've just decided to put the field called products in the rows, but you can also decide and put it in the columns because it's in groups, it's in categories. Be fine. Now, when you look at our pivot table, we are seeing sum of cells. What if you don't want sum? You want to know how many times was each product sold. That is count, for example. Or you want to know what was the maximum sales for every product. What was the minimum sales for every product? So come back to this box called values. Come back to the box called values. You're seeing sum of cells. And then again, you're seeing a small black arrow on that sum of cells. So click on that arrow. A menu will open up. On that menu, select the option called value field settings. Value field settings. So the value field settings window will open up. And in that window, I want you to select count. Select count and click OK. You realize the pivot table shifts from sum to count. Now we can see tonic sold the most number of times, that is 145 times. So you can switch from different statistics or arithmetics by clicking on that black arrow, then value field settings, then you select the arithmetic that you want to be presented with. So for now, I want us to go back and use sum, not count. So take it back to sum. Take it back to sum. Now that we have created our pivot table, we want to create now a pivot chart. We want to create a chart, a visualization. So click anywhere on your pivot table. You can click even on bottles. Then on the right-hand side of your menu bar, on the right-hand side, you're seeing an option called pivot chart. Pivot chart. So this pivot chart will be inserted using data on the pivot table. So just click on it and you'll see several options of charts. So for this case, we are going to, for the first one, let's use, for example, a column chart. So here, but you see you have these other options, so you're not limited. So you have these other options, but for now I want us to use the column chart. So just click OK. And our graphic visualization is presented there. So we need to give it a name or a title. So where we have the word total, just click there, then delete the word total and write sum of cells. Sorry, sales per product. Sorry, let's write sales per product. Supposed to be sales per product. Sales per product. Then again, just click on your chart in the top right to select your chart. Once you do that, you'll on the top right of that chart, you'll see two items. We have a painter and a plus sign. Click on that plus sign. Once you click on the plus sign, I want you to check the box for data labels. Check the box for data labels. And you will see the amounts are placed on the top of each column. Then I want you to uncheck the box for grid lines. Uncheck the box for grid lines to remove grid lines from our chart. I hope we are together. Then again, the colorings that we are seeing on our chart, you can change them to suit maybe corporate needs. You know, some corporates usually want, when you prepare their charts or presentations, your presentations embody their corporate color or their brand color. For example, if you're preparing a presentation for ABSA, you know, they'll want to see that red. If you're preparing for Safaricom, they'll want to see that green and white, you know, their brand color. So how do you change the colors, or how do you play around with colors on the columns? So I want you to click on one of the columns. Click on one of the columns just once. You realize all the columns have been highlighted. You'll see at the end of each column, there is a dot. That means all the columns have been highlighted. But if you want to change that, now if you want to change the colors for all the columns, that's what you'll do. But if you want to change the colors for one column only, you'll click on that column the second time. So just click on the column you clicked again, click on it, so that it is the only column that has the dots on the ends. I'll repeat. I'll click on a column. I'm clicking on the column photonic. I click on it once, then I click on it a second time. So it is the only one that has been highlighted. Then right click on it, and you'll see an option for fill. You'll see fill color. Okay, so you can change the fill color to any color that you would like. So just select any color. I come to soft drinks, I do the same again. I right click, I click on it once, then right click, select fill, I choose a color, I click on ice cubes, right click, select the option for fill, choose a color, and I have each column in a different coloring. Are we together? I hope so. Now this chart, we need to move it into our dashboard. We need to move it into the area where we shall create our dashboard. So what do? You click on the chart, select it, then right click on the same chart. Click on the chart to select it, then right click on it and click on the option called Move Chart. Move Chart. A small window will open up, the Move Chart window. In that window, you see the second option. The second option is what? Object in. So we are moving our object into where? So in that section where we have object in, click on the drop down and you'll be able to see all your worksheets. So select the worksheet called dashboard. Once you select the worksheet called dashboard, click OK. And your chart has been moved into a clean worksheet called dashboard. So what I want us to do is to reduce the size a little bit, because we'll have several charts on this worksheet. So to maximize on the space, I want us to reduce the size of this chart a little bit using the pointers, that the dots on the edges. So just click on one of the dots, especially the one in the corner, then just drag it inside to reduce the size of our chart a little bit. Then click on the chart, drag it to the top left, so that we'll have to arrange them in a certain presentable manner. So drag it to the top left somewhere, place it somewhere there. Up to that point, who has a question? Okay. So let's try another second example. That is question 2. Sales per salesperson. Sales per salesperson. So go back to the worksheet called data. Go back to the worksheet called data. Select all, that is Control A. Then insert. Then pivot table. Then click OK. So you want to look out for sales per salesperson. So you pick salesperson, put it in the rows, pick sales USD, put it in the values. And you have your pivot table. Let's create the pivot chart for the same. So you click on your pivot table, then you click on pivot chart, and you choose the type of pivot chart that you want to see. For example, I will choose a pie chart. Let me choose a pie chart. Then click OK. And I'm getting my pie chart there. So let's also learn how to play around with a pie chart. First of all, let's give it a title where we have total. Click delete. Then let's write sales per salesperson. Once you've done that, click on the plus sign next to the chart. Click on the plus sign next to the chart and check the box for data labels. Check the box for data labels. Check the box for data labels. Now, yes, we have our data labels presented on each section, but this is not the way in which a pie chart is usually created. A pie chart is supposed to have percentages. So how do we convert these values into percentages? And I want us to be careful here. I want you to identify one of the numbers. For example, let me use 83, 71, 373. I want you to double click on that number, the number itself, not the space. I want you to double click on the number. So I'll double click on my 83. Once I double click on my 83, another small menu will open up. It's called Format Data Labels. Let me repeat. I will identify one of the numbers, 83, 71, 373. I double click on it. A small menu will open up. It's called the Format Data Labels window. We are going to select several options. So first of all, check the box for category name. Check the box for category name. Check the box for percentage. Check the box for percentage. Then uncheck the box for value. Check the box for category name. Check the box for percentage. Then uncheck the box for value. Hope we are together. Then finally, let's move it into our dashboard. So you click on your chart, right click, and then move chart. When you come to move chart window, where we have object in, then select the worksheet called dashboard and click K. So we have our chart in our dashboard. So again, I will try to resize it and then arrange it just next to the first table that we had. Any question? Any question? So this what will happen because I'm having another class at 12 and I was just stepping in for my colleague who's now okay, she's not feeling well. I'd like us to stop there, but this is what you will do. I'm giving you some work. We have question 3, sales per year. Question 4, sales per region. And then I want to change question 5. For question 5, you will do, I want you to edit it. You will do sales per customer. So change question 5 to be sales per customer. So what you will do is you will create pivot tables and pivot charts for those questions 3, 4, and 5. Make sure your chart is well presentable with the title and the data labels. Then move your chart into the dashboard and make sure you organize your charts in an organized manner on your dashboard. And then save your work. So in your next class, of which I'll inform your tutor, you'll finish up by doing what? Linking the different charts with slicers and then operationalizing your dashboard. So you realize it's a process. Number 1, you have to create pivot tables. Number 2, create pivot charts. Number 3, organize your pivot charts in your dashboard. Number 4, link your pivot charts with slicers. And then lastly now, operationalize your dashboard. Now, earlier on in this year, we had a career fair, and one guy, Joram from Twiga Foods, tried to demonstrate what he does using dashboards. That is the exact thing that you shall be doing when you'll be linking and operationalizing your dashboard once you have created all the pivot charts. So 2, 3, and 4, you will create the pivot tables, create the pivot charts, organize them well in your dashboard. So what will remain is to link them and to operationalize it as you finish up your classes next weekend. Make sure you save your work. Don't forget to save your work. Any question? I'd like us to stop there for today.
Thank you for stepping in.
Welcome. Anyone else with a question or a comment? Now, the recording shall be shared once it shall be uploaded, and then a link to the same will be shared in the WhatsApp group. Any other question or comment?
Just by this certificate alone, does this guarantee us job opportunities out there?
Definitely. Definitely. I've just given you an example of Twiga Foods.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that guy was showing to us during that session is part of what we have learned today, how to create, and what you learn next, how to operationalize.
Okay.
So if there's no further question, I wish you a nice weekend. Stay safe. See you next time.